Up by first of all saying that I absolutely love the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I love the deputies. I love what we do for a living, in particular the jail deputies. This is difficult work, as we've seen illustrated in our community in the last several months. Working inside a confined facility can be very difficult, and I respect the hell out of their work. But with that being said, at times we disappoint each other as human beings, and in this case, I'm very disappointed. I'm very angry about the announcement I'm about to make. In December, we notified you and we notified the public that we launched an internal investigation of misconduct and possibly occurring inside the Monroe County Jail. Our criminal investigation and our internal investigation launched immediately, which is the appropriate action. Our criminal investigation found significant evidence of misconduct, and we turned that information over to the district attorney's office. The DA's office presented that matter to the Monroe County grand jury, which led to the indictment of one of our deputies, Dominic Kajawa. And he's accused of enabling incarcerated individuals to assault one another and failing to intervene in the fights. Kajawa is arraigned today at Monroe County Court and charged with assault in the second degree, a Class D felony, an official misconduct, and a misdemeanor. I am moving forward with termination of Deputy Kajawa. 2 other deputies remain suspended as this investigation continues, and 1 other deputy resigned during this investigation. This is not our culture. What is our culture is a major was on patrol inside the jail and was confronted by an incarcerated individual who brought forward information, and opposed to turning a blind eye to that, validated that information, which led to this investigation and this indictment. That's our culture. We will not tolerate these allegations or any future abuse of our values. We have taken appropriate action, first by launching an internal and criminal investigation. We have taken other actions to protect incarcerated individuals, to include the superintendent convening all his command staff and reiterating our values and our culture and our expectations and the zero tolerance for such behaviors. We've increased our supervisory rounds and made more random rounds to make sure supervisors are covering all areas of the Monroe County Jail. We are undergoing a strengthening of our field training and mentorship program to ensure young deputies have the training and mentorship they need to survive, if you will, in this very difficult environment with people that are incarcerated and constantly on the move inside that jail, constantly on the move. Things are always changing. And what we need is continued mentorship and guidance of our young deputies. We recognize that first line leadership can always be increased and improved. And we also recognize that we are a learning organization. And as you go through investigations like this, you learn things and you make adjustments to that. What you don't do is turn a blind eye to it. And that's what I'm here to share with you today. This is not an easy conversation as sheriffs to have. I started this conversation out saying I love these deputies. I love what they do for a living. I love the jail deputies and how hard it is to work in that facility. But we will never tolerate criminal abuse and the contradictory to our values and our culture inside that jail. I'm awaiting, like all you are, the completion of this investigation. This is a significant step forward. I promised you an update. That's what today is about. This investigation continues. The internal continues and the criminal continues. And when we have updates, we'll share them with you. But with that being said, you guys know that I'm very limited to what I can say because this is an ongoing internal, criminal, and now a prosecution. And I don't want to jeopardize any of those processes by overstepping my boundaries and what I can say today. So I hope you respect that. With that being said, I'm also joined by Mr. Perry Douglas, as I said, from the district attorney's office. We'll try and answer a few questions you may have. But again, I'll reiterate, I'm going to be limited to what I can say because I want to do this right. Thanks.
Sure. One of your deputies has been criminally charged. The other 2 you mentioned are still under investigation. Is that criminally? And what can you share about how long you believe this behavior has been going on inside the jail?
So the investigation continues both from an internal and criminal standpoint. And if we have evidence that leads us to criminal charges, we'll always present those to the district attorney's office. As far as how long this has been going on, that was a great question, Jen. My fear is systemic issues. So I asked my staff to go back and look for 5 years, look at all fight calls, evaluate each fight call, make sure there's no systemic issues. But I don't believe that's occurring based on the preliminary reports I have from my staff. This is more recent activity that seems to be locked down to a tighter time frame than that. But we are looking at systemic issues. That's due diligence. We should do those things. So we're looking back a whole 5 years to look at all fights. And when I say fights, you gotta realize there's over 500 fights inside that jail a year. You know, these are difficult environments. These are difficult people we're working with, incarcerated individuals. There's a lot of interaction that occurs inside that jail. People have no idea how dynamic it is there. So even with that being said, still go back, do your due diligence, dig into those and see if there's any commonality, see if there's any patterns besides what we're seeing in front of us right now.
Do you worry, were all of these deputies who are under investigation working in the same unit, on the same shift, with the same inmate?
Yeah, looking at all those systemic, or not systemic, we're looking at all those issues that might show some commonality. Right now, we're not showing any consistent pattern between that. We are looking at, I mean, that's just due diligence. We'll dig into everything. No stone left unturned. If there's a systemic issue, I'll find it. I'll deal with it. But right now, we're not showing that.
A question maybe Gary wants to take. What crosses the line from an internal investigation where you fire someone who you think is misbehaving versus a criminal charge?
Well, I mean, obviously, whenever you have conduct that rises to the level of the elements of a crime, we're going to look at it. You know, the sheriff and his investigators brought that to us so that we could look at it. I think what people don't understand is that when things occur into the jail, just like when deputies are the subject of an investigation, we have to have the evidence that we can put forward in a meaningful way, either before a grand jury or before a court of law. You can imagine that some of our witnesses for these types of things may not be wanting to cooperate, willing to cooperate, able to cooperate. So obviously that was the conversation we had with the sheriff and his team over several months, trying to figure out what we could present, what was appropriate to present. And I think myself and Mr. Harrigan, along with the sheriff and his investigators, at least for this phase, got it down to what we believe was able to be presented in a clear and concise manner.
There's probably a lot of families watching, wondering whether their loved one inside your jail was ever subject to interactions with the deputy in question or the others under investigation. What would your message be to people who are worried about the safety of their loved ones in your jail?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a real concern. I mean, if someone, people in the jail could be vulnerable, right? And if your loved one's in there and you have that concern, it's a simple call to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. A boss will call you back. There's a number that all incarcerated individuals have. There's people that call that number all the time. We'll answer questions. We'll check on your loved one for you. Yeah, we take that very seriously. Listen, at the end of the day, people are placed in care and custody. Those are two terms on the order securing someone inside the Monroe County Jail: care and custody. And we take that very seriously. I take that personal. My care and custody. So when someone gets assaulted inside my jail and it could be prevented, I take that seriously. And that's the message to the loved ones out there is you know, sometimes people do silly things. Sometimes people do things that might be even raise to the level of criminality. We'll deal with it. But we don't even accept that as our culture. This is not the way it's supposed to happen, and we'll adjust it every time we see it. And that's all I can promise people. You know, I can't stop everything from occurring in the future. But what I can do is say we'll react to it and we'll make sure it won't grow legs. Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking at. I mean, that's what you guys have been patient with us, and I appreciate that. You know, this is a long process. When you look at the process to go through an internal investigation, the process then to go through a criminal investigation, the process to go through a potential indictment, these are processes, and they all take time, and they have to synergize. The efforts have to synergize. If not, we can lose one or the other. And there's clear law and things that guide us on how we do these. But with that, we can also be digging the whole time and making sure we're doing our due diligence, make sure we're looking for commonality, consistent patterns, problems with supervision, problems with deputies. If there's any, we'll adjust fire to it. We'll take care of matters. So we're looking at all those things as we speak right now. I mean, that's still unfolding. This is part of the process. The indictment is part of the process. So I hope you respect what I'm saying, that the process is still there and it's still playing out in front of us. So I'm going to be very cautious what I'm saying, because I want that process to play out perfectly. And that's hard to do. There's a lot of moving parts. Yeah, I'm very limited, and maybe I could turn it over to Mr. Perry Duckles. You know, if the people are in place that are care and custody, if you have information that a fight's about to occur, your duty is to intervene. You're a deputy. You're responsible for the safety and security. So allowing a fight to occur would be an example. That would be contrary to our values, but also contrary to the mission statement of a jail deputy, right? Or turning a blind eye to it. And I'm going to be very limited in what I can say for obvious reasons. We want to prosecute this case, but the fact is that that's what could mean enabling, right? That we're allowing these things to happen. We're setting up the environment for it, or we're ignoring things that could have been done. It's contrary to our training, contrary to our expectations, and will not be tolerated. And we'll let the process play out to show that. And the fact is that we're here in the podium, again, giving you a second update on an ongoing investigation. We won't tolerate this.
If I could, I just want to be clear, and I don't mean to cut you off. Just to what the sheriff was saying, none of these allegations allege that the deputy themselves injured another inmate. And I think that's an important clarification for both the sheriff and us. They are charged as under Section 20 in the indictment as accomplices. But I do think it's important to make that distinction that these are not allegations of deputies actually physically harming inmates themselves.
Thank you.
Did they allow the behavior to happen, or did they encourage it to happen?
Well, that's what the investigation is going towards. And the term Section 20 or accessorial liability encompasses a lot of that. Somebody can be an accessory to a crime by enabling, importuning, whatever that may mean, encouraging, things of that nature. So that is how they are charged, as accessories to these crimes.
Either of you seen anything like this before?
No, I don't believe I have. No.
I have. I mean,
Sheriff, you increase the number of cameras, or is there a plan to increase the number of cameras to capture this, to give sort of a sense of safety to the people who both work and are incarcerated behind jail? Because you don't wear body cams, right? Or can you explain what your current protocol is as far as catching sort of these kind of interactions?
Yeah, again, I'll answer your question in a second, but I just want to reiterate, this is contrary to our values, right? This is contrary to New York State law. And the cameras will be great, and we should get cameras, and we should have more cameras on, but this is contrary to a lot of other things, and the cameras will only be another tool to collect evidence, or another tool. What we want to reemphasize is this is not us. This is not what we stand for. This is not what we do for a living. This is not our charge from the community. As far as cameras, there's cameras all over the Monroe County Jail. As I said earlier, we interviewed incarcerated individuals. We interviewed deputies, and we watched hours and hours of video to substantiate these charges, right? So they're there capturing some. As far as body-worn cameras, we've had body-worn cameras on a limited basis inside the jail for a couple of years, mostly on the corporals and above. That wore them into environments that maybe an incarcerated individual that might refuse to comply. They were using that tool. As we roll out the new advent of cameras on the road patrol, those road patrol cameras are coming into the jail, and most everybody inside the jail will eventually have a body-worn camera at any given time. So it's increasing as we go along. We've had them in there for a while, and it's only not because of this incident. It's been on a part of the plan for a while to increase the number of body-worn cameras in the jail. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.